Good afternoon, everyone. Energy, passion, intent. These are the three important elements I need in this room for the next 25 minutes if you want to stay connected with me. It's there with you? Yes. Thank you. So, when I started my career, it's all about the architects at the time were only talking about layers. You need to be understanding the client-server architecture model, 3-layer architectures, n-tier architectures. This was a way back, 20, 25 years back. But if you fast forward that now, the architecture concept has been transitioned and transformed to a great level. You all agree with me? Yes? Keep responding, because I want to make you awake. If you are not responding, it becomes a challenge for me. He told it's a very interesting session, but if I want to make it interesting, you need to be engaging. So, what happened was, I was sharing this example earlier also with Priya. There was a manufacturing firm I visited. I visited and found that there are 100 legacy systems which were there. They were having huge number of challenges, shutdowns, and shutdowns were very, very alarming, 100 shutdowns in a day. So they wanted to understand how we can fix this problem. We don't want to get into a trouble. Is it an architectural issue? It's a philosophy issue? Or is it a code issue? We want to discover that piece. So when we are trying to look into that particular element of thought, I could analyze that technical debt which was living was having a huge problem. They are not really worried about what processes you want to change, what foundational constructs you want to change, but they want to get the operations right. That is the only goal. They don't want any shutdowns to happen to their manufacturing unit. So we have completely replatformed that particular thought and got their legacy debt reduced, minimized to an extent by introducing a lot of IoT sensors and also the artificial intelligence into that context, and we could bring down their 100 shutdowns per day to 0 shutdowns per day. In fact, 90 days it was able to run without even a single shutdown. That was an alarming thing, but what went behind the scene? Behind the scene, the efforts was to understand the business domain. Efforts were there to understand the architectural aspects. Efforts were to understand how do we plumb these things to connect the technology trends to make it happen together and counter the center of the problem. We heard Pramod was trying to talk about bringing down 20 odd fields to 6 odd fields for mandatory to optional for the Aadhaar. Same thing, bringing down or removing that unnecessary things, making the systems much more leaner, easy to operate was a thought process. So intent was to embed the intelligence so that there is a right set of alarms can come in. Intent was to bring in that observability aspects so that we get the real-time inputs. When this thought process was triggered, that is the true nature of how AI native thinking is all about. Today, for the next few minutes, I'm going to touch upon architecting AI native platforms, trying to giving you some of the important perspectives. I know the morning session was very, very interesting from Pramod on how the thought process went in. And then we had very interesting sessions from Nishit, Raja, Radha also, giving their perspectives on future of AI, data products, and data economy. Now, you are going to live through this particular digital intelligence framework of associated to the how do you really bring in that architecting the AI native platforms. How many of you believe that you are true AI native people? Any hands? I see one hand coming in here. Only one person in this room who's considering themselves as an AI native. Are you using any kind of an applications which is AI enabled? Yes or no? Are you transforming some of your work into AI native solutions? Yes or no? Is it part of your roadmap? Yes or no? So you are transitioning into that particular world. Having said that, what do you see this? I just brought in a small curve there. The orange curve was trying to talk about the AI adoption growth, which is very, very exponential in nature. While the green curve was trying to talk about the architecture readiness. The gap, what you see, is really triggering the business risk and innovation risk. This is there. Today, we are facing this particular problem. If you're typically taking that, and I cannot move from here. Okay, that's fine, till that happens. So, AI revolution is transforming. Today, traditional architectures does not provide that kind of a digital intelligence. Thank you. It helps me to move fast. So today we see there is a huge amount of problems what we see where the traditional architectures face the performance bottlenecks. There are solutions, there is a huge amount of technical debt associated to the integration complexity. There are a lot of scalability limitations associated to the LLM models. They are done in pilot mode but cannot be productionized. We also see there is operational inefficiencies to measure, monitor, and progressively improve the things. The market today is trying to demand how can we provide or incubate or deliver that intelligence into the entire ecosystem thought. That requires a new way of thinking the things. But what is the architect's dilemma here? Having seen this kind of a shifting landscape, what is the dilemma? How many of you believe architects today are drafting the blueprints or they are navigating the battlefield? You believe that we are drafting the blueprints or you are navigating through the AI battlefield? What is your understanding? Second one. I agree with that particular thought. We are navigating and this challenge is very heavy. And are we ready? When I asked the same question to their chief technology officer of that manufacturing company, you have purchased so many AI tools in the market, but is your architecture ready for AI foundation? And his answer was, I missed that. And that's where we want to invest now. Today, the trend is to try to bring and inculcate the thought process of AI native architecture, where you can connect this particular dots and make it happen. While bridging this gap, there are several layers, building blocks, what you need to really think about. So we build solutions, but how many of you as an architect go behind the scenes to understand how this model is behaving? What are the different building blocks really playing a role to make it happen? A single prompt when you fire on ChatGPT, it is giving you the answer, but what is happening behind the scene? What are the different building blocks it is touching? Have you ever paid attention to it? If not, the next few slides will help you to understand the different aspects. The essence of the AI native platform is to understand the overall technology ecosystem. It's not a tool. Native platform is all about a technology ecosystem which you try to combine these things together. It is all about incubating that artificial intelligence as a core element and capability of your solution, product, whatever you are trying to come out with. We talk about data economy, data product. I'm just trying to associate with the other speaker thoughts. It's all about embedding intelligence, augmenting intelligence into each and every layer, from data to infrastructure, application to experience. When you do that with consistency, you're going to make a huge change in the overall acceptance. Now, when an AI native platform, when you're trying to think about, the reason I was trying to bring this topic is, I'm going back to Pramod's thought process. You need to be a platform thinker. The theme is architecting AI native platforms. The reason I'm trying to bring the thought process is, today's solutions in the marketplace cannot be point solutions, it cannot scale. If you want to really build a solution for the scale, to get adopted, to get accepted, you need to be a platform thinker. For that to happen, you need to understand these core characteristics of how do you build and architect an AI native platform. The first important element is the architecture. The thought process is how I can embed AI as a core function as part of my workflows. How can I augment? Intent is augmentation. It is not about pushing the intelligence, it's about ensuring that the users are able to work along with the machines. This data is, again, data fabric is a much more of intelligence. We have seen so many posters today which is trying to talk about data lakes, which is trying to talk about data ingestion, which is trying to talk about some of the data curation which is happening. Data is a core. It is like a bloodstream. The bloodstream which is flowing across this entire ecosystem. So data fabric is another important area which you need to really improve through the continuous feedback loops. Because if the data context is not understood, you have a challenge. Third important is model operations. There, just like a DevOps, what we have for the application ecosystem, MLOps is there for the data intelligence. Autonomous agents are the way to look at today. We are looking into the agentic world. Some of the sessions were trying to advocate the thought. Providing that native support of building that autonomous agents is very, very crucial and important. Experience layer really offers, that's where the user is able to connect the dots, understand what is really needed. And observability and governance, this is where the trust layer is all about. Without this trust layer, no native platform will be able to sustain, get adopted. And that's where the safety AI, bias-free AI, explainability AI all comes into the action. Last but not the least is, you can only build the platform, but other elements need to be extendable by the other core players. So having understood this, just want to run through some of the key building blocks. I told about living digital intelligence framework. These are the 4 important layers you may call, or these are the 4 important areas which are needed for the AI native platform. Irrespective whether the platform you are trying to build it from the scratch, or you want to adopt some platform and scale it up for your needs, you need to ensure these things are taken care. If you are able to do that, you will be driving with consistency. Unified data fabric is the center of the foundation. You agree with me that data fabric is needed? Yes or no? And when you're trying to talk about that, that's where your 4 important elements come in. And you need to take care of your data pipelines, real time, batch mode. You need to take care of your data catalog. You need to ensure that the data labeling or annotation is taken care if needed. And data privacy is very important for you to sustain and scale. The next comes the core of the entire things. That is where the MLOps capabilities or model-centric code is coming in. If you really want to ensure that there is an adoption happens, the model experimentation to the model drift detection need to be taken care. Agentic observation layer is very, very critical, because today in agentic AI, I'm going to touch upon one of the element. The orchestration becomes a very important entity for you to talk with a different enterprise ecosystem play. And LLM powered interaction layer is very important to interact in a cognitive mode. Having said that, there are 3 more things which is required now. This is a living digital intelligence framework with these 4 layers, but you need a nervous system to function, skin, and infrastructure. That's where these 3 building blocks comes in. 3 important layers. We are moving away from the core data scientists to the business developers, business people. So low code, no code. You might have heard about vibe coding tools. How many of you heard about vibe coding here? You believe that vibe coding is a good practice for the enterprise grade solutions? Yes or no? Yes and no. Agree? I take that particular answer because vibe coding tools today provide you an accelerated view of blueprinting, but it does not offer you the enterprise grade scale of security to deal with. You need to build that constructs. You need to enable that kind of a building blocks to ensure that your solution which is coming out of the vibe coding can really understand that. Next is about AI observability and governance layer. This is, I'm re-emphasizing because this is where you try to really address that hallucination part. You need to fit in some of the standard industry tools which can really enable you to look at, like Dynatrace, AppDynamics, Datadog. There are so many tools which are there with powered by the Gen AI which can really make the change. Last but not the least is the secure and scalable cloud infrastructure, where you have the opportunity to leverage this edge and GPU acceleration power. These building blocks collectively help you to re-look at design tenants or the power of AI native platforms with the first principles thinking which Pramod was emphasizing. If you really wanted to call out that as an architect, what should be principles? Here are the principles. I'm trying to list it for you. Across these layers, I'm not running through everything once again, but you remember these are the first principles thinking what you need to carry as an architect. With embedding intelligence into the data native, bringing that early workflow concepts. At every workflow, you try to augment AI and ensuring that interfaces become conversations, not clicks. We are moving away from building the interfaces where we are going to interface in the typing mode. It will be conversation driven, natural language processing driven. Those are the important tenets, becomes very important to orchestrate and communicate with the end users, with enterprise systems. This is a kind of a platform-centric approach I'm trying to bring in. We understood about the building blocks. We understood about the first principle thinking on the design tenets. Today, if you are trying to look at organizations, you can plot your organization will fall in one of these three particular levels. Today, I see many organizations which is adopting AI, they are doing a lot of siloed execution. And they are putting a lot of co-pilots, developing the things, but they are not sustained and scalable. As we gradually move into experimentation phase, they are putting a lot of sandboxes, experimenting on it, but they are not even ready for the production scale. The graduation should there from the experimentation to enterprise AI platform. This is where the AI native platform thinking comes. When you do that, you not only democratize AI in your organization, but you also institutionalize AI in your organization. You bring out that playground approach for the people to experiment. And from the experimentations, you get the reusable components. From the reusable components, you try to make the solutions much scalable and productionized. If you typically look at the GenAI landscape of tools which are available in the market, you see that a lot of LLM apps and agents are available. There is a lot of capabilities of conversational AI, agentic frameworks are available for you to build solutions. But intent is, there is a need for building the domain-specific, task-specific, fine-tuned models which can cater to your needs. Today, all models are not capable enough to match your domain needs. You need to fine-tune them. And you can leverage that using your data foundation and GenAI foundation. And on the right-hand side, you see that you need to institutionalize the GenAI ops. We have seen LLM ops or ML ops or DevOps. GenAI ops, which takes care of your guardrails, observability, and evaluation space. And you should also make certain decisions on what you want to buy, what you want to build, what you want to extend. This ecosystem play is very critical and important for the building and embracing the architecture AI native thinking. When you do that with consistency, you will be able to gradually move into the agentic AI and autonomous AI concepts. You see, this is a very loaded slide. But these are the necessary building blocks which is playing an important role when you're trying to build the platform and apply your use cases which can be executed and taken to the next level. On the top level, you see LLM APIs, prompt repository, and contextual memory. This is the first layer which is trying to realize that particular applications. The tool marketplace you should leverage. On the right hand side bottom, you see rack plugins. All these plugins will be able to talk to the enterprise ecosystem. And in the agent marketplace, on the left-hand side, you see there are agents, purpose-driven agents, which is meeting certain purpose, workflow agents orchestrated into the enterprise ecosystems, and hierarchical agents, which will be able to take the knowledge base and give you the responses. These are interfaced and controlled through the authentication, authorization layer, and also the MCP servers to drive this understanding. The intent of this particular slide, I'm not getting into the depth of it because there is only 26 seconds left, but I just want to close ahead with a roadmap for the architects. I just want to put down the thought, today, if you are embarking on the journey of AI native platform thought process or thinking, focus on start small, build the pilot projects, apply the native reference architectures, iteratively develop, and bring down that entire literacy, not only with respect to one role, but across the roles. It could be the decision makers, data scientists, developers, architectures. That thought process need to be consistent. And utilize the cross-functional collaboration teams to build your solutions and realize that. Then only you'll be able to make a bigger impact and drive in this particular entire journey. With AI native platform thought process, I believe, from silicon to the software systems, there's a huge amount of investments which are going on across the industries, and that will help us to scale and create a huge impact across the value chain. I don't see that any particular industry will be left out in this entire journey. Everyone will be embarking in this journey. And I see the trends like Gen AI, Quantum AI playing a very pivotal role in adopting, embracing AI native architectures as we move forward. With that note, I thank you all and open for the questions.
Thank you so much, Bala. That was really, really insightful. And, if we may have you answer a couple of questions.
Sure.
So, oh my goodness. All right. The gentleman at the back, please. There's a mic there.
Hi, Bala.
Hi.
This is Bala here again. Bala on the other side too. Yeah. Okay, so the question I have is, in general, we all know that greenfield implementation is quite hard to come by. We are likely to get brownfield implementations, and then essentially where we get into is sort of fixing the engine while it is running, right? Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, what is the framework, which would work well for that? Because it's very easier to solve greenfield implementation, but not really when the engine is running. So are there any pointers from your side to sort of conquer that?
From the conceptual understanding, retrofitting AI into the current ecosystem becomes a challenge, to be very honest. There is a lot of traditional technical debt you are going to live. I was only advocating the thought to my customers also. Retrofitting AI is not the solution when you want to build AI native platforms. The solution for you is to re-platform. You should move from your thought process of retrofitment to the re-platform. Then you will be able to create a huge benefit out of it. So don't try to retrofit AI into every layer. It does not give you the required benefits.
Thank you. Can we move on to the next question?
Bala, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
So like more of a thought process or like kind of an interlock I see with the customer, right? That they wanted to start small, which is like take one use case and implement, right? And second is a more of a thought process of that building that whole AI native architecture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which takes time. Now, which one, because you have been interacting, right? So what is your perspectives around it? Because you have to really match both the hands, right? How should you then play this game?
One, you said start small. What was the other one?
Second is that building this whole AI native architecture or AI native platform, it takes time, right? Because nothing comes out of the box, right?
Yeah.
It takes time. And then how do you really match these two?
See, that's what people are currently doing. The siloed execution is where people are starting the small pilot projects to prove that the learning readiness of the organization resources are available. The intent is you cannot do this without ensuring your data foundation, infrastructure foundation is taken care. The data foundation is key. If that is not ready, you cannot go into the experimentation, you cannot go into the level of enterprise AI platform. So it should be a parallel way of driving the things. While your organization is trying to get democratized using developments, you should focus on building the required foundation constructs which will help you to build the platform level thinking. And that's where you need to augment intelligence into every layer what you're trying to build up with. So institutionalization requires you to look at how I can bring the model reusability, domain extensibility, rather than people try to develop it from the scratch. In fact, if a particular person who is healthcare specialist develops a model, that can go into your model garden, and another person who wanted to embrace that particular foundation model, extend it for the cardiology department, he can do it. Someone want to do it for the gynecology, he can do it. Extending that to the specific models is very, very critical, and that requires a platform level layers what you need to really invest upon. That's what I was trying to advocate the thought. Ensure those building blocks are there in your system. It will help you to scale. And it will help not only for one particular industry, across the industries you can use.
How do you really prove the cost to value, right? Because each layer will actually given more of an added top of play, right? So if you have to define a cost to value for a AI native cloud architecture, right? How do you define that?
Unlocking the value is very important. That's what Pramod was also advocating the thought. Two values which I always help my team also to talk about. One is the organization value we need to unlock. Other is the individual value you need to unlock. If you're able to do that successfully, you will be making a bigger impact. Individuals should see this platform is able to optimize their work, improve their productivity, helping their efficiency in their work. If they see that, see, you're not building from the scratch, but you're leveraging some of the platform constructs and building your model and getting the things done. That's what vibe coding does that. The second is organization value. The time to market is something which is more crucial for every organization. So if you focus on the time to market and also the productivity and efficiency of using this platform to realize the solutions and look into the engineering velocity. Sundar Pichai was trying to talk. How do I measure in Google when I use Copilots? It's the engineering velocity I look at. So if I am able to show that engineering velocity, it makes a huge cost to value from the platform approach.
All right, I think that was really insightful. And in the interest of time, we would have to. All right,
Yeah.
just one more question, please.
Yeah. So my question was, I think AI is getting into every form of business. What is the approach to testing or certifying what we produce? There's not been much of even anywhere outside. How do we certify? In the traditional style, we know testing, test cases, and so on. Here, has there been any trends in that area?
I would say it's an excellent question because testing is always afterthought people feel. Yeah. But I strongly feel it should be a before thought approach, which to embed testing as part from the design intelligence. And today, if you're typically looking at, I'll give one example that might give you certain understanding. I was speaking to one of the startup. I told, when I was speaking, he was working. And he was working and responding to me. I told, how do you conceptualize your idea to the execution and ensure that the quality of your code is there? These guys, startup guys, are so savvy with the AI tools. He told, I will use ChatGPT for conceptualizing my idea into a PRD. I take that PRD, put into the cursor AI to get me the work breakdown steps. I take the work breakdown steps and give it to my Devin AI to develop the code, test the code, deploy the code, develop the documentation, integrate with my GitHub, and I use that documentation to send it across to my team, indicating that this is my idea to the execution. Now you go and develop the specific capabilities which you want to extend further. Imagine I was asking him, how you support your architecture evidence and how do you support your decisions? He says, Eraser.io is there, which will help me to develop the architecture blueprints with respect to the hyperscalers. I can leverage that. How do you do the decision making? I don't do the decision making. I want tools to do the decision making, and I only validate with my critical thinking to make the things happen. This is the thought process which today startup engines are trying to carry. How fast they can bring it to the market. But can it scale? Can it sustain? Can it get the acceptance and adoption? Probably a question mark. From the testing dimension, I would say that right from the synthetic data generation to the efficient test cases generation to the test execution, these tools can be leveraged as an accelerated power to do that. For certifying, you have specific policies, controls, and some of the standard regulation bodies which is giving you. You try to codify that, program those things, so that also can be part of the entire testing chain of suite of tools which will be able to experiment on a regular basis. Just like your LLM operations, it's part of the cycle to take care of it. Yeah. And you need to embed that intelligence by incorporating the right tools as part of your ecosystem. You can make it big, but today, people are focusing on time to market and scale. Speed and scale is a mantra.